If prayers were answered, we would expect that those who pray would have significantly better outcomes from those who don't. Faster healing, remission of cancer, and other measurable results should be a clear indicator of divine assistance for the believer. What we find, however, is that when we scientifically test the efficacy of prayer, there is in fact no effect. No matter who prays, to which God they pray, or what they pray about, there's no statistically different outcome from those who don't pray. The belief that a God hears and answers prayers is an illusion created by the human mind. Any claim of an answered prayer is nothing more than confirmation bias, coincidence, random chance, or the placebo effect. In reputable, unbiased, scientific double-blind tests on prayer, where the prayers involve concrete and measurable criteria, for example, healing cancer patients, we see no statistically different outcomes. Both scientific experiments and everyday observations invariably show this to be the case. There have been several studies conducted to determine the efficacy of intercessory prayer, or IP. The results do not indicate there is any significant benefit. The 19th century English scientist Francis Galton published statistical inquiries into the efficacy of prayer in the Fortnightly Review in 1872. The study focused on sovereigns, a group he assumed were prayed for more than others, to determine whether prayers were answered. He concluded that they were not. Presumably due to a backlash from the church, no further studies of that type were performed, or at least they weren't published, for nearly a century. Medical studies of intercessory prayer were first published in the medical literature in 1965. Since then, many studies have been conducted by about 75 researchers, largely physicians and people with PhDs working in small research teams. Researchers have published several articles in journals of complementary and alternative medicine, as well as mainstream medical journals such as American Heart Journal, Annals of Internal Medicine, Journal of Reproductive Medicine, Mayo Clinic Proceedings, and Southern Medical Journal. The physicians and researchers were employed by hospitals and medical schools, including Columbia University, Duke University, Harvard University, and others. The first study of intercessory prayer in the 20th century was conducted by C.R.B. Joyce, a reader in psychopharmacology at London Hospital Medical College, and colleague R.M.C. Weldon. It was published in the Journal of Chronic Disease in 1965 under the title The Objective Efficacy of Prayer, a Double-Blind Clinical Trial. In the final analysis, intercessory prayers were found to have no effect on the health of the subjects of the prayers. In the last decade of the 20th century and the first decade of the 21st, several clinical studies of the efficacy of IP were published. Two studies conducted in the 1990s, titled An Experimental Study of the Effects of Distant Intercessory Prayer on Self-Esteem, Anxiety, and Depression, and Intercessory Prayer in the Treatment of Alcohol Abuse and Dependence, a Pilot Investigation, were published in Alternative Therapies in Health and Medicine. Both concluded that there were no measurable effects of intercessory prayer on the subjects of prayer. In The Effects of Intercessory Prayer, Positive Visualization and Expectancy of Well-Being of Kidney Dialysis Patients, published in Alternative Therapies in Health and Medicine in 2001, the results were negative. Intercessory prayer and cardiovascular disease progression in a coronary care unit population, a randomized control trial, published in Mayo Clinic Proceedings in 2001. Results? Negative. Pilot study investigating the effect of intercessory prayer in the treatment of child psychiatric disorders, published in Australasian Psychiatry in 2004. Results? Negative. Music, imagery, touch, and prayer as adjuncts to interventional cardiac care. The monitoring and actualization of noetic training. Randomized study. Published in The Lancet in 2005. Results? Negative. Study of the therapeutic effects of intercessory prayer in cardiac bypass patients, a multi-center randomized trial of uncertainty and certainty of receiving intercessory prayer. Published in American Heart Journal in 2006. Results? Negative. Now that's not to say that no studies have ever found IP to have a statistically different outcome. Some biased studies, such as the one conducted between August 1982 and May 1983 by Randolph C. Bird, a San Francisco cardiologist and born-again evangelical. The study looked at 26 health criteria for 393 patients admitted to the San Francisco General Hospital CCU. Bird's results indicated small improvements in some of the criteria where he made personal judgments as to the needs of the patients. However, no significant differences were found among the other 20 categories, including mortality, despite explicit prayers for prevention of death. The study was rejected by 2 medical journals, but was eventually published in 1988 in the Heart of the Bible Belt, in the Birmingham, Alabama-based Southern Medical Journal. Bird's personal bias and the fact that prayer was not controlled for cast serious doubt on the legitimacy of the study. Setting aside the medical studies that show the inefficacy of intercessory prayer, why not do your own prayer test? Ask God to appear to you right now. Nothing? Anyone? Bueller? Yeah, that's what I thought.